Thanks for coming back. My name is Dan, and we're going to keep drawing today. We're going to use a photo. We're going to draw from a photo that a friend sent me, and she was having some issues with what to focus on and how to render it. So we're going to look at that now, and so let's get started. So when you have a photo that you're drawing from, you want to look at it a little bit critically and ask the question, how will this translate? So this is clearly taken with the phone, and that's the way life is. You capture it in the moment. They were playing in the water and having fun, um, and that's how life is. But when we are going to draw this, we want to make some decisions about what to include. So I want to show you some problem areas that it's fine for the photo, but if we include it in our drawing, it could potentially be confusing for whoever's looking at the artwork, which is what we want to eliminate. We want it to be nice and clear. So one thing to think about is this hand, the top of the sleeve, or the sleeve here, lines up perfectly with the grass. And it just creates kind of a weird optical illusion. Like and this also, it just lines up too much. So simple solution, we just change it. That's all we do. We're going to move the grass up here. You don't have to draw exactly what you see. The other part is we've got the nice yellow boots here. They look great with the blue. And then we've got the rubber ducky here, but it's just not clear what is what. So simple solution, we're going to put the duck over here. And she is the main, she's the focal point. So we want to make sure that she is. Now watch what happens when I remove the color from this photograph. She just completely blends in. And look at she kind of gets lighter towards, so it just really blends in with the water here. She sort of melts into the background. So simple solution for this is we see that we've got some leaves here, and then we've got a nice dark patch here. We're just going to move that dark patch here, and then she'll really stand out. All right, one other technical thing that I want to point out is sometimes artists, when they're learning to draw, they see all these curves. Get another layer here. They see the curves and they go crazy. And then the background just looks more like a surreal work of art instead of something a little more realistic, something that your character would be grounded in. So, one of the things to think about, I'm going to go back to this. We're going to go to this right now, do some quick drawing here. We've talked about if you have a circle and it lays flat on the table, it turns into an oval. We flatten it because of the perspective. Another way to look at it is we've talked about drawing a square, finding the center of it, and then placing the circle inside of that. It's an old drafting technique. And then if I laid that square flat on the table, it looks more like a trapezoid. We could find the center of it by connecting the corners, and then we draw an oval inside of that. So now it looks like we have a circle laying on the surface of the table. You don't have to do any of this. All you have to do is draw a circle, and that's fine. The reason I bring that up is because we're going to draw this water, and I'm going to draw on top of the photo just for a moment. We can have, let me do something here. Okay, good. We can think of this water. Again, we can try to draw it, and it might turn out, it might not. We really want to flatten it. So I'm looking and I'm seeing an oval right there. I'm seeing an oval for the grass, and then maybe an oval here. So we can go over that with a different color so it's a little more clear. How about something even brighter? So I'm going to go over the top of that oval. I'm going to come in for the grass area. I'm going to go around for this little puddle. And we're just looking for those. There's an oval there, an oval there. But the point that I want you to see, let's just say this was flat, so we would have another oval there. What I want you to see is that we've really flattened it. So all we really did was draw some curved lines, but they're flat. And that's going to just help you think about it. You don't want to come in and start drawing all these curves, because that just, it doesn't look like your character's grounded in the environment. So I think those are the main things that we wanted to talk about. I'll just give you a quick story. When I was uh, working in the yearbook and in my high school just for a short season, and the photographer wanted to take my picture, and he had me lean up against a telephone pole with my back to the camera, and he said, let me reposition you, and he placed my arm up in a very awkward way and pulled the forearm out, and he says, just trust me, that looks better. And then after he took the picture, he explained that the way I was leaning on the pole, it looked like I had an arm growing out of my head. So that's the same idea here. We want to remember that the final drawing is what we care about. The photo is just a reference. So feel the liberty when you're the artist, you make the decisions. So let's go back. We want to make some good decisions here, and I'm going to make another decision about our main character. It's helpful to think in terms of silhouette. So I'm going to add another layer here, and I'm going to outline our character here, our model, and we're just going to go over everything. I'm just going to make up a foot there. And we'll get rid of that backdrop. So it's a little bit hard to know what we're looking at, because everything, first of all, her position is almost up and down, maybe a slight bend with the feet, but everything's like really clustered together. So it's just a little bit hard to know what we're looking at. So here's the solution to that. We're going to have our character lean over a little more. I'm going to have the head come forward. I'm going to have this arm that we can't even see come forward, and then this arm in the back will come even further. We're going to bend the legs. Now we're getting rid of this solid shape. And that just reads better as a silhouette. So we are going to think about that as we draw this character, that we want a strong silhouette. It just makes it for more of an interesting drawing. So let's begin drawing. I'm going to pick a different color. I think that'll be fine. And we'll start right here. All right, so I'm going to start with the head. And for the head, you can think of it as a circle. This were an adult. You have the sphere, and then there's this lower part of the face. The eye line comes across the nose and the mouth. And then because we have that center line, we know that the eyes are going to fall on each side of that. Now for a toddler, it's a little different. For a toddler, we're going to start with that sphere, but this part of the face really shrinks down. It's almost like we have to grow into our skull. So this part's a lot smaller. The eye line is going to come to about there. The nose is even closer, and the mouth is going to be there. We want to capture the chubbiness of the toddler, so we'll have the cheeks come out. We may round out the bottom. The eyes are going to be relatively bigger. And I'm just going to fill that in quickly so you can see the proportions. That's just how we're going to think about it. So let's get rid of that and start drawing. So I'm going to start with the head. Let me shrink this down a little bit so I don't draw too big. Okay. All right. So I'm going to draw the head using that sphere. And again, just a reminder, if we have a sphere that's divided and it turns, then the center line is going to curve around it. And it's the same idea when we draw the head here. We have the round. We're going to add the bottom part using kind of an oval shape. And we're going to follow the contour of the face. It's a great way to add form to your drawing. So let me just erase some of this so it's a little bit easier to see. The eyes are going to come to about here, the nose and the mouth. And then we're going to account for the fact that there's hair back there. So we'll just put that for now. All right, so we talked about leaning the body forward a little bit. So we're just going to put what's called an action line. It just helps capture the movement. Very important if you were to draw someone in action, like an athlete. You want to start with that line because that's the most important part of the pose, is that action. I'm on the wrong layer. Let's go back here. And we're going to shrink that down so that we don't run out of page. Okay, so I've got my action line. And for the body, it's going to be an oval. And because I know that this is a toddler, I'm going to put a nice belly area in there. Stick figures for the legs. Again, I'm giving this pose a little more of a squat. The arm is going to swing out here, and the other one's going to swing out this way. It just makes it a little bit more interesting to look at than standing straight up. All right, and then for the legs, I mean, we can think of those as cylinders, and we can just connect them. You can think of it however you need to think about it. So I'm going to build those up ever so slightly, just so that when we go over this, we know what we're doing. So I'm going to have some cylinders. It's more narrow towards the bottom. Some cylinders for the arm. All right, and I think I want to make the head just a little bit bigger because this is a toddler, and proportionally, our heads are bigger when we are toddlers. All right, now I'm going to draw over this. And let's see here. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, so we're going to go over to the face now. I'm going to zoom in here so we can have a better idea of what we're doing. And the key is really to keep things minimal, especially for a toddler. If you add too much detail, it just doesn't look right. So I've got my center line here, and then so I know that the eyes, one of them is going to fall on this side. Make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to round out the bottom. Maybe I should add another layer just so it's a little easier to read. Okay, hopefully that makes it a little easier to see what we're doing. All right, so for the nose is a sphere with some more sphere-like shapes around it, but I'm not going to draw all of that. I'm going to suggest that by drawing the top of the nose, the bottom part of that sphere, some nostrils, and maybe a line around it like that. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to leave it at that. For the mouth, I'm going to give it a slight upturn. And so then we're going to draw the cheeks. I'll draw a little line for a curved line for the chin. And then it rounds out towards the bottom. So the hood really is covering up this eye, and I think that's an important detail to capture the character's personality. And then you can see a nice curved line here for the top of the hood. This comes up, and this looks a little more straight. And whenever you can combine straight and curves, it's a great idea. It really helps with variety, and you just see that in life. You get that variety. I'm just going to add a little bit of shading here. And now we're going to go to the top of the hood. And I'm just using a variety of lines, some straight lines, some curves. Here we've got a wrinkle. So I'm going to capture that. You think about where the fabric is gathering up and it radiates out. I'm going to draw the bottom here. I'm going to make that darker for a little bit of contrast. This is the top. And if we've got the body, let's see here. Turn this back on for a moment. If I've got the body like this, then I want to capture that center line and keeping the contour. And this zipper or buttons or whatever it is, it falls right on that line. So that's perfect. That'll help us capture that area. Okay, let's go back to the sleeve. And as I look at, let's see, as I look at the sleeve, I can see different shapes. I come here, I can see another layer. I can see that I've got a kind of a triangle shape there, complete with an outline. I've got kind of another angle here. There's all kinds of shapes. There's a heart there or a V. And we're just looking for that. Now and here's another situation where it radiates out. It bunches up. This is not a part that I'm going to be overly concerned with because it's not the focal point, but it's just a good thing to keep in mind. Okay, curve for the top of the hand. Just going to draw some fingers here. Drawing that diamond that we talked about earlier. There's that V shape. want to make sure I capture that. It's really bunched up there by the hand. I'm going to draw the thumb and then those fingers. It's going to be right there at the bottom. We're going to move up. We got a nice smooth area back here, and then it bunches up again. For the boot, it's like a cylinder, except that it slants inwards, like a bit of a curve there. So we're just going to capture that, maybe the top, and then we'll draw some ovals around that to represent that they're in the water. And I'm going to go back over it, not like that. I'm going to add a little more thickness to the legs. And this part's fine to throw in a little bit of shadow just to separate it so we know what we're looking at. We don't want to do that. Let's go back. Get in a few more wrinkles. And I think we are at a fine place to stop. I will continue this drawing, but I hope that you got some good tips from this and how to think about the drawing aspect and how to think about perspective and all those things. And just a reminder that you are the artist. So you are not stuck with the photo. You get to make decisions. The final piece of artwork is what people are going to see, not the photo. Just use that as a reference and have fun. Feel free to use your imagination. Feel free to say, oh, I like what I see in the photo, but I'm going to do this. So yeah, anyway, I hope that's helpful. We'll pick it up next time, and thanks for joining me.